to Between the Pages podcast. Today we're going to be talking about when your child doesn't like reading yet.
Yeah.
So, pause in there, yet, because we're going to give you some tips on how to encourage happy reading time.
Yeah, that's a good one, really, if you think about it. I'm Jimmy. This is Sarah. This is our podcast. Welcome. The yet part.
Yeah.
I think I think kids do like things. It's just, well, maybe it's not so much that they like what you like.
Yeah.
Or the topics that you're choosing for them,
and that's our first key point is start with interest.
Yeah, things
something that interests the kid.
Well, okay, yeah, that I guess I didn't know that was what the first. Maybe I didn't know that, but the thing is from my perspective as a child, well, there's plenty of time for having to learn to like other things later.
Yeah, which we talked about in a before podcast. When you finally graduate high school or college, it's like, oh, now I can read what I want to read.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, in the early years, you can give your kids that opportunity to let them read what they want to read before all of you have to read this
And the
book.
question is, so how do you inspire your child to want to learn to read before somebody mandates to them that they need to read?
Yeah.
And so the thing is you know how it is. Sometimes you don't really have an appreciation for something until you don't have it anymore. Yeah. And so, but if you never...
you're like, in the before time,
if you never were a reader, and then somebody's telling you to read stuff, well, you don't really, you're not really thinking about, I'm missing anything. I'm just doing whatever
I have to do.
So, yeah, so it's that. Yeah.
So finding books that interest your kids, not just the level book that they should be reading on in, like the different trucks, horses, and even doing cooking books, doing recipe books, that's still reading. Getting, the older your kid gets, having hobby books, learn how to sew this or knit this or do this bead thing, that's reading still.
Yeah.
And that's what we were talking about before. It's like I used to read dog encyclopedias or cat encyclopedias because first of all, it was they had all these, and you could get these cool books on dogs and cats and stuff, and I liked animals, and so, but you can just flip through and read about the different book. It doesn't have to be, it has to be a novel book or what is that, the fiction is the not real books?
Well, yeah, there's fiction and there's historical fiction, which I don't really, it's difficult to grasp that, but it's fiction based on a historical event that didn't happen, so.
Well, and everybody does have I know I worked with this guy and he loved Civil War stuff. And so all of maybe not just Civil War, but just history in general, anything that related, you weren't going to see him reading a book about flowers or, whatever, the Scarlet Letter or something. You were going to see, he was going to be reading books on history, real life history. And so kids are the same way. They, there's sports books, there's dinosaur books, trucks, the
dessert.
Yeah, dessert. I was going to say strawberry shortcake. I was trying to think of girl books. So finding that too, and with that, letting your kid pick out the book so that they can pick out what is interesting to them.
Yeah, and I guess that's the other aspect of it is within reason. I mean,
which we talked about before. This is kind of like putting 4 different podcasts together. Because the Tiny Library one, and then letting what to do when they want to read that book. So...
Well, yeah, and I guess that's the other aspect of it. I mean, you want your child to develop some level of independence, and they want to be able to make decisions for themselves and that kind of thing. But at the same time, as a parent, you're supposed to be sitting there kind of as guardian, if you will, of their young mind and, the things that get put into it. So there's a little bit of restraint that is necessary. But in general, most kid books are safe.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty safe.
Lots of good night kid books.
Yeah.
That's what we have. I was just going through them, and I'm like, man, we have a lot of these.
Yeah, if you're reading good night books to your kids and there's something creepy in there and they start having nightmares, well, you cut that out. You don't do that anymore.
Eleanor's creepy. stink bug.
Stink bug.
She'll tell me, there's a monster in there. And I'm like, there's no. She's like, yeah, there's a monster right there. It's a stink bug. And I'm like, it's not a monster.
Well, I mean,
it's okay.
Maybe she has, insect phobia.
Well, I think too that she doesn't like insects in general, but also the stinky ones.
Yeah, so that develops early. I mean, fear of heights, fear of water.
Don't get her an insect book, is what you're saying.
Probably not the best choice. And as she gets older, she'll probably just naturally, avoid that,
whatever.
But as a child, she kind of has things thrust upon her, if you will. So, but yeah, it's that. And so I guess, I mean, like you want it to be something that's predictable. Your child is like, oh, okay, this is the type of book we're going to look at, or this is the type of book we're going to learn to read, that kind of thing. So you don't want it to be a mystery.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what are mom and dad going to do to me now? Kind of thing.
Well, and those are the other thing was just starting off small. So even just 5 minutes a day, and I did some math. So 5 minutes a day is about 2.5 hours a month, which is about 31 hours a year. And I know for us, just doing 5 to 10 minutes a day, and 5 to 10 minutes a day, some days, yeah, it gets really busy, and all you do is bedtime stories. We were able to we read to the kids, and the library does the 1,000 books before kindergarten, and both Eleanor and Lillian have done the 1,000 books before kindergarten twice, but Lillian did hers for the first time before she was a year old. And they had the little graduation like in May before she turned a year old. And I was like, wow, not just 1,000 books before kindergarten, but 1,000 books before one.
That's pretty good.
And they do that in the same thing. Even they do, I think it's 1,000 hours outside. 1,000 hours outside, because it's the equivalent of what typically kids spend on screens. And so to combat that, doing a goal of it, which is not books, but you could do your reading time outside if you wanted. But 1,000 hours outside seems like a lot, but when you calculate it out, it's like 1 hour a day during the winter and up to like 3 hours a day during the summer, which you're already doing.
Yeah.
I mean, most, we do, so I don't know what other people do, but, you go outside to go to the park, well, it ends up being 3 hours, or 5 hours, depending on what activity you have going on. So it sounds like a lot, but it's not that much. So if you did, let's do 500 hours, or no, maybe not 500 hours. 5 minutes a day is 31 hours a year.
It seems kind of small.
Seems really small, but 5 minutes a day, it's only 5 minutes, 60 minutes in an hour. So
it'd be 12.
Yeah.
12 events in an hour.
Yeah. But over the week, you're only doing 5 times 7 a week.
Yeah, 30 times 12 is 360
minutes. And then you got to divide it by 60.
Well, if there are 12 events in an hour, and then 31 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. 360 events in 31 hours.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just did 5 minutes times 365 divided by 60 minutes, which was about 31 hours and change.
Okay. So I guess it is, how many events do you cover in 5 minutes?
Events.
Yeah, an event. I mean, you're
talking about books?
Or whatever. You're
just doing 5 minutes of reading.
Okay. How many books do you read in 5 minutes?
Oh, that's what I was saying for Lillian. That's why she was able to get through 1,000 books, because...
Right. So that's 360 events in 31 hours. If you divide an hour...
You're talking about books. How many books you can read in a year.
Well, that's what you were relating it to, right? Okay.
1,000 books before kindergarten.
Okay. I would say it's anything. I mean, it's, if you're going to divide an hour into 12, whatever. I mean,
whatever.
If you don't understand, that's fine. I don't have to.
It's okay.
That's just my way my mind
works. Like engineer, art person.
Well, no, it's more it's different than that. It's like, I can hear what you're saying, and I can, when you start talking about time, I start seeing a clock.
Yeah.
And so I see a clock, and so I see a clock with an hour on it, and I say, oh, okay, we're going to divide that into 12 segments, 5-minute segments.
Yeah.
Okay. And so there's two things going on. I'm hearing what you're saying, I'm hearing what I'm saying, but I'm visualizing something also. And so it's just my thought process is that's the way it works. And somebody out there understands what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I'm sure they do.
Because okay, well, that's kind of an interesting topic. When you think about time, which is basically, it's an illusion, right? It's not real. It's not something like that you can touch. The whole purpose of time is, well, it keeps everything from happening at once.
Yeah.
And so it helps put things in sequential order or chronological order, if you will. Well, when you're doing that, when you're thinking about time, what do you think about? Do you think about like tick, tick, tick? Do you actually see a clock when you think about time? Or do you think about, segments like on a ruler, like minutes or increments of time? Like I did like this morning. I did this at noon. I did this in the evening. That tells a lot about your personality depending on how you think about things.
Yeah.
So you may have to figure that out with your child.
Yeah.
Because some children they will actually. It's probably more difficult today to think about an analog clock.
It's a lot of digital.
Everything's pretty much digital, but that's something you have to figure out too. In addition to what type of books you select.
Well, I was just saying 5 minutes doesn't seem like a lot, but over the year it can it turns into 31 hours, which could be 3,000 books depending on how long the book is.
Yeah, and I was just thinking 31 hours doesn't seem like a lot.
Yeah.
It seemed like it seemed like it would be more than that.
Only 5 minutes a day. Maybe if you did 10 minutes a day, that'd be 60 hours.
Yeah.
I think.
It just doesn't seem like a lot. It just seems like it should be more. But whatever.
I don't know.
31 hours.
I think I did the math right.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with your math. I'm just saying maybe you might want to bump it up to 10 minutes a day.
Well, yeah, I just said 5 minutes because a tiny win. If all you can get in, everybody has a busy schedule, but if all you can get in is, bedtime, that 5 minutes is still 31 hours a year. We normally end up we'll be really good at, we're reading every single morning because we don't always do bedtime stories, because then it turns into how much can we read? How many books can we read to drag out bedtime?
Yeah, right, of course.
And so we switched to morning stories, but we'll do really good, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then maybe we miss a day, And so you do have to be conscious about making sure, okay, we did reading time. Because everybody is busy, but reading is really important, and it creates the pattern of reading. Readers are leaders. So you want your kids to read. And
well, that's the other thing. It comes down, like you say, it's a matter of priority too. What is important to you as a parent? Is reading time, is it something that you prioritize, or it's just an afterthought? It's something that this is something we do before the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's a personal choice.
Yeah. Well, ours is more, they're so different in what they want. The two kids are so they're at different levels and at different interests. And
Right.
so I'm having to almost split it up where I can do reading time with one and reading time with another, because when I'm reading with Lillian, Eleanor's like, that book is boring. That book is so square. You know, she just could say that. And so,
even though it was something that she was probably
interested in a year ago.
Yeah.
And so that's more what I'm seeing, because Eleanor will just run off like, oh, I don't want to read that book anymore. But
yeah, I can imagine the more children you have, the more difficult it would get to be able to allocate time for
well, and that's why I started doing the craft time after reading time. So Eleanor will sit for the reading even if it's boring, because I know that wasn't even on my getting your children to, because Lillian has certain books for her age that are really important. And so we read some Eleanor's age, some Lillian age, and just keep it at like 5-10 minutes.
Right.
And that's our reading time. And then we do crafts afterwards. So Eleanor will sit there and be like, okay, got my stuffy. I'm sitting here listening. And then we're doing crafts. But then at other points in the day and through the week, I have like one-on-one reading time with them where I can show them the words. You know, Lillian likes to flip the page fast, but then Eleanor will sit there and actually look at the words. So,
well, I guess it all comes down to learning and comprehension. Different people learn. There's no one size fits all.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing. And so, I mean, unfortunately, or fortunately for us, we grew up in a time where, well, the school did have windows, but most of the class time was inside, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, there would be these rare instances along the way where the teacher would be like, everybody grab your books, we're going to go outside and get some fresh air.
Yeah.
And that was like, what?
Yeah.
And so you got to go outside and do your classwork outside. Wow, you know, kind of thing, you know. And so, yeah, but I think there's more of that now.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there were.
Well, and that's like the Charlotte Mason, I think that's what it is. The Charlotte Mason homeschooling stuff is just kind of, I don't want to say it, and then people come in the comments being like, that's not what Charlotte Mason is.
Well, okay. But give credit to somebody else.
It's basically like, you know, doing the learning in nature and stuff, not just sitting in the classroom to read from a book.
Yeah, you know, and I don't think there's one approach fits all. I think there's some instruction that it needs to be more structured. It needs to be whatever. But then I think, yeah, there's other instruction that you need to be out, you know, in the natural world. And
yeah.
I mean, you know, you think about, that's one of the things about Fig and Zig. I mean, you know, it's a day in the life of a couple of kids, twins, and it's just all the antics that they managed to get into in a single day.
Yep.
And they go home all tuckered out, go to bed, and they get up the next day ready to go again. Who knows what? You know,
who knows what?
Yeah, and so
they do some stuff. They come up with stuff that is just like, wow, that's really interesting. I wouldn't have done that. But I got parent mode, you know. I'm like, oh, we gotta do it this way. I just let them.
Well, yeah, and so that's the whole idea, you know. And so the thing, I guess, is, you know, how people learn is different for different people and whatnot, and figuring that aspect of things. Or like we were talking about earlier, you know, what people in general do think in pictures. You know, if you were to mention something like Twin Towers or, you know, Challenger or something, people immediately visualize in their head some, you know, image.
Yeah.
You know, and so that type of thing is ingrained in adults. But for your children, you mentioned Challenger or you mentioned Twin Towers, they don't even know. There's no image there.
Yeah,
you know,
because they only know what they've seen.
Yeah.
What they've,
so that's what I say. It's different for everyone.
Well, like me, I don't really know what Challenger is. I know it has to be something like
there's a space shuttle.
Like a ship or something.
Exploded on liftoff. So.
Oh yeah, I do know that.
Yeah.
But it's not like right there.
Well, it's because it happened before you were born.
Yeah, but when you say even that, I just switched it to 9/11, and you said Twin Towers, and they were a whole thing before that happened.
Right, but that's something that's imprinted on your head.
Yeah.
You know, so people think that way though.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way you learn. And so
but people think differently. Because I said something to my friend one time, and I was like, "Oh yeah, don't you think like this?" And she's like,
No,
not at all.
no.
She's like, I don't even know what I would do with my brain if it did that. So
Find a different body.
Yeah, really.
We're moving out. No, and so it's that. I mean, it's that kind of thing. So each child is different.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes it's best to be doing, like a book like you mentioned on recipes or something. Well, reading a recipe is one thing, but actually doing and reading, you learn.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's that.
Yeah, that comprehension.
Yeah.
That was the thing on the little WellCare thing. It was like, oh, can your child, if you tell your kid like 4 steps, go pick up this pencil, walk to this room, sit down, and clap your hands. Can they do that in order?
Yeah.
And I did it to her, and I was like, wow. I've never like done that. Like, let me give you 4 things to just go do. I've never even thought like, let's practice that. But she did it. I was like, wow, look at that. Yes,
well, some people, some folks, after you tell them 1 or 2 things, they've stopped listening because, oh, these are the things I need to do.
Yeah.
I need to remember to do this.
I just heard a thing about that the other day, and this mom was like, I don't know if you guys have this repeat thing going on in your head. She's like, but I do. And so I started making my kids do it. And so she's like, I tell them, this is your mission. Come over. This is your mission. You need to put my socks on, and put my socks on, put my shoes on, and come back and tell me when your mission is complete. And they have to sit there and repeat it out loud. We're putting our socks on, we're putting our shoes on, we're putting our socks on, we're putting our shoes on. And they go do it, and then they come back and they say, mission complete. And it's like, wow, that's really interesting, Normally I could tell Eleanor to do something and she'll just go do it, or when I say it, she's like, I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna go pretend like I did it and do something else. But I was like, that's really interesting.
Yeah,
but that's what she said in her mind. She's like, I have to sit there and repeat it constantly until I finish the task, or I won't remember to do it.
Yeah, so I guess we started this out with, we want to make it your child.
You know how the podcasts go.
Well, we want to make sure the children can read the things they want to read before someone else mandates.
But it was when your child doesn't like reading yet. Yeah. And that is the thing. I think it's the making them interested in reading before someone mandates it, so that when they're finally able to read what they want, they actually read.
Finding, like you say, a technique, if you will, for lack of a better word, and a topic that are of interest. Because you can be trying this technique that worked great on one child.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, there was, in middle school, there was this one book that I picked out at the library or Ollie's or something. And you had to read so many books every year on this. You had to fill it out and sign it. I was stuck on this one book forever. And it was the most dull book. I don't even know what. I just remember I had it every single day, and I would read it, and I'd be like, I don't know what's going on. And I finally was like, I'm not reading this book. And it took me forever because I was like, I have to complete it. I have to complete it to get it on my checklist. And I just was like, I'm not doing that one anymore. And then I flew through the books. And I found all these other books that were like, oh, yeah, and done. Finished 3 books in a day. And
that's the thing. One book. A person needs to learn what their limitations are. There's some things that are not of interest to you, and there's not much sense in
torturing yourself for months.
Why? Yeah, why would you do that?
Just to complete it.
That's.
I still have never read that book.
Well, maybe if you get older, you might find an interest in it.
I think I still have it. I think it was an Ollie's book.
Okay, but that's all I'm saying is that.
I don't know why I haven't. Probably donated it. Well,
it could be something that's of interest to someone else. But yeah, at the same time, when we were in school, it was repetitive, memorize. And eventually the expectation would be that you would learn something.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I mean, when you're doing things like 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, multiplication tables, that kind of thing. Yeah, I can see where there's some of that. But abstract ideas like quantum physics, no.
No.
You have to think differently to learn that. And you can't use the techniques and the methods that have been imposed on you through the education system. And that's where I think a lot of times it's a standardized approach to learning that works for a majority of kids, but it doesn't work for everyone. And sometimes you figure that out, and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And so, you just gotta. It goes back to technique and whatnot. That each child is different.
Yes.
So
they are totally.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Same parents, different personalities. Wow.
I just said that to Mama the other day. I was like, they have this standard that your kid's supposed to be this standard. And I'm like, Eleanor's all the way over here. And Lillian's all the way over here. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Well, you got to watch that kind of thing, because who is it that comes up with these standards?
The standard, yeah, literally.
How was it they determined that this was what would be established as normal? Yeah, I mean, you don't want to paint your kid into a box.
Yeah. Oh, they're not.
Well, no, I mean, as parents in general, I mean, that's what I think.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of comparison, and you really shouldn't. You're not supposed to. But
I mean,
it's not the same every time either.
Well, a field like psychology, it changes from every 3-4 years. There's some new technique or some new method or whatever. So,
and that's our off-topic time for you guys today. Yeah. The last thing was, which I think I did say, was create the environment matters. And so some kids are like, oh man, it's reading time, let's go. And then we're mainly talking about when it's not, when you're having a hard time getting your kid to want to come to do reading time or have, reading moments. And so even creating a cozy, fun environment, an engaging environment like we do sometimes with the kids. Oh, bring your stuffed animal, and we sit down in a little circle, and make it, this is what reading time is right now. So other times you just pop up on the couch and read a book. And sometimes that happens. Or
sometimes you just point at the pictures.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I'm so bad. Sometimes, because I've been reading to kids, different activities and things. And there's sometimes when nobody can read but me. I just make up my own story. Like this story that they got going on, it's not really fitting. I just look at the pictures and make up my own story.
There you go.
It's even better. So, but then you have to remember what you said.
Well, or come close. Anyway.
Yeah. So that is all we have for you this time. And don't forget, readers are leaders. Join us next time on the Between the Page podcast, and subscribe, follow for more. We'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.